Welcome back to another episode of Procrastination Garage. My name's Matt. We're about a week before Christmas, so what's been going on? Well, the video we've got coming up today has some snowplow action and it has some snowmobile maintenance work. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy it. What you doing, Bear? So what do you think? I'd say it looks like a guy that's never used a tractor with a bucket before to plow his driveway, which is fair enough because I never have. I've still got my ATV plow blade, and I think I will use that most of the time. It honestly does a quicker job. The thing is with the bucket I can move a large amounts of snow, but this wasn't enough snow to where I had to move it anywhere. So I was just kind of pushing it around, and again, an ATV with a blade does it quicker, and I can get in tighter and do things. So I didn't have it set up for today. So anyway, what's next? We need to get the snowmobile ready to go tomorrow. It's 18 degrees and looks to be 6 inches of snow on the ground at this level, but as soon as we unload, we'll gain elevation pretty quickly. Going into the Rattlesnake Snow Park today. This is on DNR, Department of Natural Resources land. One of the reasons we're coming here is because they've already plowed this snow park, unlike the one we were in the other day. While I was out snowmobiling yesterday and having fun, Mother Nature was getting even here. Yeah, all that slid off the roof. It rained quite a bit yesterday, and that loosened it all up. Temperature came up. Now, in the old days, I had to get rid of this with the ATV and the plow. And when it comes off the roof, it packs hard, and that's a lot of work. In fact, you kind of just got to scrape away at the edge of it. But now that we've got the John Deere with the loader on the front, it should make it a lot easier. Now, I'm not sure my skills are any good, but at least I've got the right equipment. So let's get her done. So did that look like amateur operating? It did, didn't it? Well, what do you expect? I am. All right, I think what I'm going to do is get the ATV and the plow out, angle the blade, and try and scoop all this away from the building, which is what I usually end up doing. Shouldn't be too bad. So what do you think? Good enough? I say good enough. When I had the shop built, I was told that you don't want to let a bunch of snow gather around the shop because when it melts, if that water goes underneath your shop and freezes, that it can push up the concrete slab. So I'm always pretty diligent about cleaning the snow out in front of it and behind it when it slides down off the roof. The amount that's on the side, I don't think is a problem, especially this side because as it melts, it's going to flow away from the shop. And on the other side over there, I don't know, I just don't think it's going to be an issue. So I do need to do the back of the shop. So I'll go do that now and I'll show you the final result when I'm done. There's the back. I kind of made a royal mess back here. The problem is I've got some gravel, but not enough. And I got a lot of mud and trying to do it evenly. Didn't do a very good job. Used the tractor, cleaned up with the ATV. It's good enough. It'll keep the snow away from the shop, I think. I don't know. I'm satisfied. Let's move on to something else. Time to play musical bays. I need the UTV and mower out of this bay so I can put a snowmobile in here to work on. I'm going to put the UTV down in that bay there. Since the mower has a dead battery, we're going to let it charge overnight, and then I just need to pull it out when I'm working on the snowmobile. So we'll get the UTV moved, we'll get the snowmobile loaded in the shop, and that'll be all we're doing tonight. The poor green truck, not getting much love. Hasn't been run since, I don't know, since I moved out of the way for the snow, I guess. Gonna get that up and running and take it out tomorrow. But for now, grab our Diet Coke and our glasses, and we've got some work to do on the snowmobile. Really what it is, it's pre-season work, and I'm already 3 rides in, so now I guess we're in season work? I don't know. The Craftsman's been on the charger all night. It's showing green. Hopefully that'll fire up and we can back it out, making more room for snowmobile work. But that's not all of our problem. Look at this disaster area we've got. I need to get this stuff cleaned out, wheelbarrows, chipper, air compressor, little heater, and stuff along through here because I need that engine hoist right there, because that lifts up the back of the sled, makes this project a whole lot easier. So let's clear a path. All right, what do you think? Think it'll start? My guess is yes. Choke, throttle's full, turn the key, where's the key? key. Nope, not engaging. Well, let's get the jump pack. We'll fire it up that way. Showing 12.5 on the jump pack. It was showing 12.4 when I first hooked it up, but the battery, it's just, I imagine it's toast. So let's try again. Yeah, she turned. Come on, baby. There we go. I've had that jump pack for a couple years, probably about 3 now. I don't know how I ever lived without one. Talking about a handy little thing, especially when you always got equipment that seems to have dead batteries. All right, now I was going to turn the snowmobile around, face it the other direction to work on it, but honestly I think it's probably good right where it is. What we need to do is we need to get the back end lifted up. We need to untension the track, which are those, there's a bolt on each side there. And then we have bolts we have to remove from the suspension. There's 4 of them. There's one here and on the other side, and then this one right here and one on the other side. And you do that, suspension drops right out, kind of, sort of. Luckily I've had this apart once. It was a real bear the first time because Skidoo, when they put them together, it's like they don't ever expect anybody to take them apart. But you really have to take them apart to work on them sometimes. So let's get at it. I think we do want to turn this a little bit. Let's start. I think we need to undo the, loosen the axle bolt here. And of course the other side is spinning. So maybe we'll do it differently. See if we can do it with our little electric impact. No. Well. All right. Huh. She's loose. That's up the right size. Come on, we'll figure it out. That thing is a little itty bitty. There we go. Now you want to loosen this, you want to pull this all the way up against here. Of course, we need to do that on both sides. We have power, we might as well use it. Okay, the adjuster nut's all the way. As soon as I lift it up, we'll be able to move it around. Next step is pull these bolts right here. That electric impact just doesn't have it. Time to get out the big guns. There's that one, and then let's go ahead and pull that one. And then I do the same on the other side. It's been about 20 minutes. See, this bolt here is coming out. That bolt in there is coming out. Around on the other side, that bolt is coming out. And that bolt there is coming out. The trick is, and you just about have to have air, it's a threaded cross shaft that you cannot get a wrench on. So the only way to undo these is basically just slapping them with air, and you got to loosen them up. The problem is you loosen one side up, the other side may not loosen. So then you got to tighten up the side you just loosened and go around the other side and smack on it, and you keep going back and forth until you can get both of them to come out at the same time. And it takes a little bit of time to do that. I finally got the point where they're both coming out on both sides. So now we're good to go to drop the suspension. When you put this back together, make sure you use anti-seize. Otherwise, this process is even harder than this. Now, using the engine hoist, I need to lift the back of the sled up high enough to clear the suspension, and then work the suspension out of the track. And it doesn't want to come out because there's little lugs on the track that are holding onto the suspension piece down at the bottom. So you got to get above that. I'll say it's easier to get the suspension out than it is getting it put back in. But let's work on it and see what we can do. Need these pieces to clear. And she's out. Let's check out the anatomy of this here. All right, this is the cross piece I'm talking about. This goes all the way through. It's inside this piece here, so there's no way of getting a wrench on it. So that's what is threaded. Your bolt goes into that. And then there's also a little spacer that goes right there. So you've got a spacer on each end, and then you've got that rod on the inside. So there is no way of getting on that. And then you've got the same system up here. There's your little spacer on each side, and you've got a rod in the middle. So it's kind of a pain, but once you've done it a couple times, it's not so bad. So we've got the suspension out. Why? I'll show you in a minute, but since it's out, we want to check these wheels. Oops, these wheels, the ones you didn't see because my hand's in the way. Make sure they roll nicely. Those there. Those there. And then you've got two here, and I'll check those when I flip the suspension over. That's our next step, flip the suspension over. With the suspension turned over, we've got these two wheels. Check, make sure they roll nice. They all have bearings in them, and you need to check them. They're the most abused bearings on a snowmobile probably. But these have 5,000 miles on them, they're doing okay. The reason we're here is this piece of plastic right here. It's called Hyfax, and they wear out. And if you look here, you can see mine are getting really thin right across there. In fact, there's a wear line, and I think I'm below the wear line on it. And if it wears all the way through, you'll be metal on metal, because your track has these little metal pieces here that slide on these. So today our goal is to change out those pieces of plastic. This is the easy part. The only thing holding those pieces of plastic on is one screw at this end and the other end. This one actually looked like the metal's been rubbing on a little bit. There's a nut right there, captive nut. For whatever reason, these things always seem to come undone fairly easily, which is a good thing. There's a nut there. Now we need to drive those off with a hammer. I say drive them off with a hammer and screwdriver. We don't care about destroying them because, well, they're the old ones. So just keep doing that till it's all the way off. And about 100 hammer blows later, the first one is off. Now that it's all apart, you hope that the box that you've had for the last 3 months has the right parts in it. So far, so good. Yeah, they're black. All right. So the question is, are they the same length? And they are. So that's good. Now, get you guys over here. Compare a brand new one to the old one there. You can see how much meat is on this one compared to how much meat, especially that area there, is on the whole thing. So now, when I feel the thickness of it with my fingers from inside to outside, it's not wore through. It's getting close. I don't know how many more miles I could have put on it. It's time, but it wasn't so bad. You know, I've got 5,000 miles on this sled, or almost, and this is the second. That was the second pair. These are going on the third pair, so I figure that's pretty decent. No complaints. So the one other thing I'm going to do. Oh no, they've already done it. They bevel the edge there, and that's so the track can't catch on it. And the other ones are like that too. I thought I'd had to bevel them last time, but apparently they were done at the factory that way. I don't know, are these actual Skidoo part numbers? Yeah, these are actually Skidoo parts, so they're good to go. Now, reverse procedure, pound them on and put the screw back in. Alright, I'm going to use a little punch to line these holes up better. So hopefully we can thread the screw back down through. Must not quite be there. Sometimes a little persuasion with a hammer. There we go. See, I'm not lined up with my hole right. That's better. Yeah. Want the cross thread. There we go. All right, do the same for the other side. There it is, all ready to go back in the sled. I wish I could say that that was the hard part. Getting it back in is usually the hard part. I don't know, this whole process, there's equally hard parts. One more thing we want to check though, before we put this thing back together. Up inside of here, I'm not sure how well you can see it. Maybe I can turn on the light. All right. This axle right here has a bearing on this side, the far side there, that goes out, and you need to keep it greased. I assume this one's got a grease fitting. I don't remember if I greased it before or not. Anyway, what we want to do is we just kind of want to shake the axle a little bit and see if there's any play in it. And if it's a bad bearing, it'll be pretty noticeable. Last time I was riding this, I was getting a funny noise from the front of this that I have no clue what it was, and then it seemed like it quit. What I'm hoping is it was a stick stuck up in here or something. I never figured it out. Or maybe it was some ice or something from the ride before that. I don't know. I was worried it was a drive shaft bearing, but like I said, as the ride continued, the noise went away. So I can't really show you guys while I'm shaking it, but I'll just do a little shake up there. And if I find something amiss, well, if I find something amiss, we've got to tear it apart. So let's hope that's not the case. Best I can tell, it's all right. The issue getting the suspension back in here is fighting with that track, the top part of it, because the suspension has to go between the bottom and top part of the track. Let's try something different. Let's see if I can take a couple of tie-down straps and strap that upper part of the track higher up against the tunnel and see what that does for me. Let me get all set up and I'll show you. She's back in. I thought I was filming it, but I don't know, my phone was shut off when I came over to look, so either I ran out of storage space or it didn't do it for whatever reason. Anyway, the straps made a huge difference. Allowed me to get it in there. So now you can see one of my little pieces fell out and one fell out the front too. So I need to get those back in, and then the rest of this it's still not a done deal, because the suspension is set up in such a way to where the holes do not line up. These holes and these holes don't line up at the same time without compressing the suspension. So I usually end up having to put a strap in the suspension, squeeze things around, kind of raise and lower the sled until I get everything lined up. So that's the next step. Notice too, I did injure myself. I don't know what happened. Caught it on something. I've got both front bolts in. So now it's just a matter of getting the rear in there. And you can see the chassis needs to drop down about an inch, and then the suspension needs to come forward about an inch to line up. And I'm holding the suspension back right now. I've got it strapped to the bottom of my my lift here, so maybe if I loosen that up, it'll let it go into place. So let's see. Okay. All right, I need to set this up so we can pull the suspension that direction. You can see I've got a ratchet strap in there, pulling the suspension forward, and there you can see I've got my hole lined up. So I'll get the bolt in this side, and then I'll go around the other side and do the same thing. I came around the other side and found this. The spacer got caught on that bracket there. So I'm gonna just try and pry it over with a screwdriver and get it behind there. We'll see if that works. That's it. Suspension is back in, and the 4 bolts are tightened. I did remember to put anti-seize on all 4 of them. So now what we need to do is lift the thing back up off the ground and tighten the rear axle, or move it, use the adjuster to slide it back and move it back, and then tighten it down. Once we get it into the relative position, what we'll do is we'll fire the sled up and we'll run it, and that'll let us see how it's tracking side to side. And then if it's hanging towards one side or the other, then you have to adjust the adjuster on one side until you get it centered. So we'll get that done. That's a wrap on this week's Procrastination Garage. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. We got a little bit of snow plowing done, and we got some snowmobile pre-season maintenance done after the fact. Remember, the goal of Procrastination Garage is to get me out in the shop, out in the yard, up in the mountains, I don't care. Just out doing something, so I'm not sitting around the house being lazy, watching YouTube, TikTok videos, whatever. So secondary is content for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the content. And with that, I hope you hit the like button. I hope you'll subscribe, and I hope you tell your friends. So if you see this before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next week with another episode of Procrastination Garage.